you're doing. Come on. All right, so saying upcoming. Here we are. There we are, YouTube. And same on YouTube. As you come in, be sure you let me know that you're there and how you're doing. And if you're a first-time viewer, be sure to let me know where you're from. I always like to know that. Hey, Judy, Christine, and Betty, thank you for being here. All right, now looks like YouTube's up and going. So today I've got 2 bows I need to make, and we always kind of rotate. We do Easy Bow Maker, we do the Pro Bow, and I got to thinking we haven't done handmade bows for a while, so that's what we're going to be doing today. And as I said, I've got 2 bows I need to make for projects, and so that's what we're going to be doing. Okay. Hey, Joanne. And I've got, for my first project, I have this gorgeous D. Stevens ribbon. If you're not familiar, D. Stevens is a designer, kind of a higher end ribbon. And I got this in, gosh, I don't know, probably a couple of months ago, and I just have yet to use it. And of course it has the daisy motif, but it's just really pretty. I love the lime green with the daisies on it. But that's going to be one of the ribbons I'm using here. Now, of course, I'm going to make a daisy wreath with this. And I looked through my stash, and I felt I was kind of limited on what ribbons I was going to use. I wanted this ribbon here to be the star of the show, of course. But I wanted another one to pair with it. I mean, if you wanted to, you could probably just use that by itself. But, it kind of looks like it has 2 ribbons in one anyway. But I wanted to put one more to pair with it. I looked for a gingham. The gingham I have didn't really pair with it very well. And then I came across this lime green with the polka dot. And I thought, normally I don't like to put a pattern and a pattern together and those be my only ribbons. But you've probably heard me say before, to me, the Swiss dot, the dots are so tiny that to me, a lot of times it kind of reads as a solid. So I thought that would be really cute. The polka dots are kind of fun, and but still, yet I'm not going to steal the thunder from the D. Stevens ribbon. So that's what we're going to make the first one with. And I think I make my handmade bows a little bit different. To me, it's pretty simple. Of course, I've been making bows for a long time, but I try to go through pretty slowly and explain step by step what we're going to be doing. Now, usually I've got my wreath that I'm going to be comparing. I'm going to make my loop, and then I'm going to put it up against my wreath to compare size-wise. But we're just going to wing it today. Normally, depending on the size of wreath I'm making, I make between a 5-inch to about a 6.5-inch, sometimes 7-inch bow loop. But this one we're probably going to go about 5 inches. But I hear a lot of people say they can't do bows by hand because their hands are arthritic and that. I do have arthritic hands, and you can see I've got even a contracture there that kind of limits my mobility, and my hands are sore. But the way I'm going to show you, I can't say I ever have any problems making a bow by hand, with the exception of last week when I was tearing out caulking out of 2 bathtubs. So my hands were pretty sore that day, but that was not from bow making. So, hey, Janita. Hey, Susan. How are you? And there's Sue, Ethel May. Hey, Liz. But anyway, we'll go ahead and get started. So the way I do it, and I'm hoping that I'm over here where you can kind of, almost like you were looking over my shoulder, like you were actually making the bow. Now, I'm going to make my tail first, and I want to be generous with it. I'm going to make about a 14-inch tail, maybe a little bit longer. Let's make it about 16 inches. And I'm putting in a little bit longer than that to account for the fact that I've got this fold right here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my, I've got my tail here. And as I said, most times when I'm making a bow, I'll put it up against the wreath. and measure it, but most times I just eyeball my loops. Now, if you want exact measurements, you can actually come down here and say, I'm going to make a 5-inch bow loop. You can come down here and you can measure like that and do it like this, measure. If you're more comfortable doing it that way, by all means do that. I usually just kind of eyeball it. But anyway, I've got my tail here. This is in my right hand. And I am not holding this with a death grip. I'm just got enough pressure here to hold the ribbon. Okay? If you try to think about holding a feather, that's about how much pressure I've got, just so it's not going to go anywhere. And that's one thing that I think contributes to a lot of people having a sore hand, is because you're holding your ribbon too tight. Okay? All right, so what I do to start with, like I said, I've got my tail down here. This is going to be our first loop. All I did, I brought this ribbon around here, and I brought it back to the back. Okay? Now I'm going to take that, and I'm going to pinch it. I'll get my tail out of the way. I'm going to twist it. And again, I don't have a death grip on this. I'm just holding it lightly. Now I'm going to come back here. Just got the ribbon twisted. I'm going to come back here. And I'm going to meet up in the back, right back there where I started. And I'm going to kind of eyeball it. See if I like if my loops are pretty even. And in fact, I can do this to make sure if I want to, but I just pretty much eyeball it usually. It doesn't have to be perfect, okay? All right, so I've got my fingers here. I'm going to pinch that ribbon. So I've got it pinched. I'm still seeing the wrong side of the ribbon. I'm going to take that and twist it. Now for this one, I'm going to make 3 loops. I still feel like I got my bow loops a little bit uneven. There we go. I'm going to make 3 loops on this bow on each one of the ribbons. And I like to do that. I don't know why. You can make 4 loops. You can make more loops, but or less loops. You can just do 2. But I'm just going to repeat this process. I've got my ribbon pinched and twisted. I'm just going to take it and pick it up right here. I'm going to pinch it. Okay, now see where my ribbon is starting to migrate back toward the back of my hand there. And what that's doing is it's making it where it's a little bit more comfortable for me to hold that ribbon. If I were to hold all of it out here and trying to pinch it together, it's going to be uncomfortable by the time I get done. But as I'm making the bow, I'm letting it just migrate back there to the back of my hand. And you'll be amazed how much different that your hands feel after doing it that way. Now, that's our last loop on this side, so I'm not going to need to twist my ribbon. Now, if I wanted to put another loop on this side, I could go ahead and twist it and do the same thing. Bring it right back over here. Got a loop, pinch it, and then twist it. Okay, but I'm not going to do that because I've already got what I want. Now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to trim off this tail. What do I do with my scissors? There they are. Just come down here, and I'm going to be a little bit generous. I don't want to shortchange myself. I can always cut it a little shorter if I want to. There are workarounds if you mess up and you cut it too short, but we're going to try not to make more work than what we need. So if I wanted to stop right there, I could, and this would be a beautiful bow. And I just love that ribbon. I love those colors. All right, now we're going to go ahead and add our second ribbon. If I can get there we go. Couldn't get that label off of there. Now, get off plenty of ribbon for yourselves. You don't want to be fighting with it. Now, for this second edition, I'm just going to take my ribbon and I'm just going to lay that right over the top. I'm going to see if I got enough tail here. I'm just laying that right over the top. And again, see how far back my ribbon is? Now for this one, I'm going to make 3 loops again. And I want, I've got 2 loops hanging over here. So I'm going to end up, I want 2 of the polka dot over here to kind of round out the bow, if that makes sense. So that's why I started over on this side. Now I'm going to take that and twist it. I'm going to make this loop a little bit smaller than the other one. Let's call it about, probably larger than that. Let's make it about, that's probably about 4 inches, I imagine. Yeah, just a little bit over 4 inches. Again, it does not have to be perfect. So I just set that right down there, right in my hand. I'm going to take this and I'm going to twist it. I'm going to bring my loop back to the center here. I didn't get my twist complete. That's what I was fixing there. So again, I'm going to look and see if I've got about the same bow length. Now, if I wanted to, I could quit there. I wouldn't have to twist it, but I want to make one more loop on this side. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to twist it. And then I'm just going to bring it right back here to the center. I'll pinch it. Now I'm going to go ahead and trim off my tail. Now I've got my bow. I'm ready to make my wreath. And, we've got 2 tails over on this side, 2 tails on this side. We'll be able to rearrange those whenever we get into the bow, or I'm sorry, into making the wreath. But if you wanted to end up with your tails kind of straddling on either side, all you got to do is make one more tail, one more bow loop, and then you can trim that if you wanted to. But this is the way I do it when I'm making 3 looped, 3 loops with each ribbon. But let's go ahead and we'll tie that with a pipe cleaner. Now I'm going to take that and again, see where my ribbon's at. It's way back here. I'm going to take that pipe cleaner. I'm going to run it right there, right by my thumb, underneath all the ribbon. And it's going to be coming out between my pointer and my middle finger. Now I'm just going to take this right over the top there. And I'm going to twist it. I don't twist it real far and I don't twist it real hard to start with. I'm just going to hold it and make sure I still like what I've got. Kind of alternate your ribbons there. But isn't that a cute, perky little bow there? I think it's going to make an adorable daisy wreath. Now, again, if I wanted to, I could have added more loops. But this is one of my pretty standard recipes on a handmade bow that I use for my wreaths. All right, anybody have any questions? Hey, Rose, over on YouTube, how are you today? I'm going to look through and see if I have any questions. Hey, Carol. Oh, Cheryl from Utah can't stay too long. That's okay. You can always come back and watch the replay. All right, I don't see any questions. And I do happen to have some of this ribbon in my Etsy shop if anybody's interested. Again, it's a D. Stevens designer ribbon. It's at boxmybow.com, but you can grab some of that if you like. I think I've got it in black also, black and white. All right, let's do one more. Like I said, I had 2 of them I had to do today. So how is everybody today? Doing all right? I said it's cold and rainy here in Terre Haute, Indiana. About tired of wintertime, aren't you guys? Now this one, I grabbed these ribbons because this is what, I'm making a lantern swag made out of this. This is going to be the focal point. Now, I'm always asked, how do I pick out what ribbons go with what? And this time, this pick right here is going to be my inspiration. And you can look at it, and you've got of course, the yellow, kind of a golden yellow, and then you have a little bit of a lavender, And then, of course, the green of the greenery. And this little pom-pom here, it almost, I don't know if you can appreciate it on camera or not, but it almost looks pink, and as well as this little flower here in the center, it looks pink. And so immediately I knew what ribbon I wanted to use. And I've got this one. You might have found that or seen this before, and I just love this ribbon. It just really is so pretty. Soft on the eyes. It doesn't compete with the florals, but that's, like I said, that's how I'm matching up my ribbons to my inspiration piece. You can see it has the lavender, it has the green, and then, as I said, it has a little bit of pink, but if you look closely, you can see some pink in here. So that's my first ribbon. Then I thought I was wanting to go mostly toward the, I'm sorry, I wanted to pull out the lavender just a little bit more. And so I found this, just a solid, and this is going to be a small lantern swag, so I'm going to be using just 1.5 inch ribbons. I'm afraid a 2.5 inch is going to overpower it if I use that. But so I could stop right there, but then I got quite a bit of yellow here too, and so I went ahead and I'm going to add a third ribbon. And I found I didn't really have a yellow that I really liked to go with this other than a solid, and I didn't want to put another solid, although I could have. But I found this little yellow Swiss dot. It is more of a sun yellow than the golden yellow, but I think if it's going to be far enough away from it, it's going to work. You can't tell that much. So let's go ahead and I'm going to show you how to use 3 ribbons in this handmade bow. Now, I should have maybe even started out just using 1 ribbon, to be honest, instead of just trying to show you the 3. Let's just make a real simple one. Like I said, you can make a bow, a beautiful bow, out of just 1 ribbon. And I do this a lot, especially at Christmas time with the red velvet. They are really popular sellers on Etsy. But all I'm going to do, same thing as I did last time. I'm just going to take this, I'm going to pinch it, bring this back to the back. This is just going to be a small bow. I'm going to pinch it, twist it, bring it back to the center, pinch it, twist it, bring it back to the center, and you can just keep repeating that process however many loops you want. Okay, so if you're new to this, you might want to start out just making making a bow with the same ribbons and just keep repeating that. Just as I said, I started out here, got my tail, pinch it, bring it back to the center, twist it, bring it back to the center, and I'm going underneath. Now there's lots of ways to make handmade bows. You can go over the top also, build your ribbon from the top down. Neither way is right or wrong. Just find a way that works for you. All right, we're going to twist it, bring it back to the center. This is going to be my last loop here, so I'm going to twist it. I'm going to trim it. All right, I'll go in there and I'll kind of make sure that these aren't too far off. All right, so I'm going to go ahead with this now. We'll go ahead and keep building. And a lot of times I would have put my solid ribbon in between the 2 patterns. But again, this really reads as a solid, so I'm not worried so much about that. Plus, I want this ribbon to be good and visible. All right, so I'm going to come down here. I'm going to put my tail over the top. Pinch it. Get me plenty of ribbon off, so I'm not fighting with that. Twist it. Bring it back to the center. Pinch it, twist it, back to the center. Pinch it, twist it. I didn't pull off enough ribbon. And make sure when you're twisting it, you twist it all the way around. That's what I was trying to fight with there. I didn't have it twisted all the way. And then I just bring it to the center there, and I'm going to pinch it. It's going to be my last ribbon, or my last loop. I'm sorry. And that's what happens when you don't pull off enough ribbon. You start fighting with it instead. So try to pull off a good amount of ribbon. And use, especially if you're newer at bow making, try to use decent quality ribbon, because it really does make a difference. You don't necessarily have to buy designer ribbon, but you want something that has good body to it. And if you make a loop, you want the loop to stay open. You don't want it just collapsing on itself. There's workarounds for having too loose ribbon, but you don't have to worry about that if you don't need to. And just because a ribbon is expensive doesn't mean it's good, and just because a ribbon is less expensive doesn't mean it's bad. So do remember that. All right, now I want a tail to come out this up top this time. I'm going to take this, I'm going to lay that right over the top here. Trying to get that. I'm going to pinch it, I'm going to twist it. Bring it back to the center. Okay, again, let's see where my ribbon's at. It's way over here. All right, and I'm going to just make 2 loops on this. I forgot to tell you here. All right, so we pinched it, we twisted it. We're going to come back to the center. And notice I'm making it a little bit smaller than the ones before. This lavender's larger, this is a little smaller, this is smaller yet. Okay, now let's twist it, bring it back to the center, pinch it, and we're done. And I'm just going to make a short tail for this one. Okay, and I know it doesn't look like much yet. And a lot of times your bows won't look like much here when you get to this point. But, if you're using good wired ribbon, we can rearrange this however we need it. So don't get frustrated. All right, I'm going to take this pipe cleaner now. I'm going to run it right across right beside the palm of my hand there, or palm of my thumb, I mean. And it's coming out between the pointer and the middle fingers. I'm going to bring this over the top. Okay, I'm going to pinch it. Twist it. Just a couple of times. I don't want a big stalk on my bow. Most times. I mean, there's isolated times when I might, but most times if I'm attaching a bow to a wreath and I have a great big long stalk here where I just twisted the pipe cleaner, you're not going to be able to get your bow in snug to your wreath, and it's going to flop. Nobody wants a floppy bow. Now we just rearrange this however we want it. Like I said, I wanted to make sure I've got some tails coming up at the top too. And then I got it ready for my lantern. And again, I know it doesn't look like much now, but we'll trim the tails, we'll rearrange the bow loops and everything like that the way we want it. I hope that helped you. I'm going to look through and see if I see any questions. Hi, Vince. Vince is wanting to know, how long do you make your first set of loops usually? It depends on what I'm making, Vince. If I would say most commonly, I'm working on a 16-inch bow or a 16-inch wreath form. And for that, I'm usually going to make about a 6-inch bow loop. Again, it just depends. And there again, it depends on what I'm making. I mean, am I making a lantern? Or a lantern swag? Am I making a tobacco basket? Am I making a swag? But I would say most average would be a 6-inch to start with. I hope that helps. But if you watch, most times I've got my wreath sitting up on the easel, and you'll see me walk over and I'll put the bow loop, the first bow loop, up next to the wreath, and that's what I'm looking at to see if it looks like it's going to be about the right size. And there again, too, another thing you need to consider is how big are your elements you're putting into the wreath. For example, like our tobacco basket we made in the wreath making group this week, there was a larger flower head, so I needed to offset that or balance that with a larger bow loop. We didn't use as many loops of the large ones, but we needed to make sure that we didn't let the flower heads be off balance. I hope that answers your question. Hi, Michelle. Michelle's wanting to know, is it better to start from the bottom and work to the top, or the top to the bottom when making bows? It's whatever you are comfortable with, Michelle. I know for me, when I'm hand making a bow, this is what works best for me. If you're doing the easy bow maker, you're going to start from the bottom and work up. If you're working on the pro bow, you're going to be working from the top down. And then some people, like I showed you, some people do like to start with their bow, their ribbons on top and work backwards. Me, I learned this way. It works for me. So I start with the bottom and I go up. And to me, that way I can see the bow as I'm making it a little bit better too. I don't know. It's probably in my head just because I learned it that way first. So. Oh, thank you, Vicki. Yes, I do too. I love the lavender. It's really pretty. Really pretty. And I think, like I said, it really pairs well with this. I'm not 100% sold on the yellow. I almost want to take out the yellow and just go with the purple and the plaid there. But we'll see once I get it made. And that's another thing too. Don't be afraid to mess up. You just keep trying and trying, and there is a learning curve with any kind of bow you make. And I don't make all my bows the way I like them. You'll see me undo and redo all the time. And don't think anybody's perfect at it. Hi, Terry. Hey, Beth. All right, any other questions? Hey, Barbara. There's Yvette. Thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate it. Okay, well, that's all I have for you today. Oh, wait, I got another question. Vicki says, do you also determine how many loops in the bow by the size of the wreath form or the flower heads? Yes, both. Both, I do. It's just like, here, I'll show you. I'm gonna bring you guys up so you can look at something. So close your eyes if it bothers. Gosh, I can't even get it to... There we go. Let me move everything out of the way. All right, so if you look at that tobacco basket there, that's what I was talking about. That was a project for us in our wreath making group this week. And if I couldn't have put a small bow loops on that, because if I did, the flower is just going to stick out there like a sore thumb. So once I saw the flower heads, then I thought I've got to make a substantial bow to balance out those flower heads. And I'm trying to see what else I've got hanging up there. Same thing on that bee wreath. I don't know if you can see that over there. I'm not to a place where I can just walk over there, sorry. But it's a smaller one over there, smaller bow, because the wreath frame is a little bit smaller, the piece is a little smaller, the flower heads are a little smaller. I want to say I probably used a 5-inch bow loop over there, whereas here, if I remember right, I think it was about a 6-inch, maybe 6.5. I can't remember off the top of my head. And then same thing over there. That is a smaller bow. That is only a 14-inch wreath frame. I mean, the wreath extends to be larger than that, but it's only a 14-inch frame. And I didn't want the bow to extend outside of the florals. And I think that is a 4-inch bow loop up there, if I recall. I don't know if you can see that very well from this distance. I hope that answers your question, but yeah, you'll see me a lot of times. I'll take my, let me see here. Say this is my wreath form here. Let me drop you down again. Say this is my wreath form here. You'll see me when I'm making a wreath and I'm making a bow by hand. I'll take that and I'll pinch it and I'll try it on for size. That's what I'm doing when I'm sitting it right there next to it, usually. All right, any other questions? Oh, thank you, Vicki. Yeah, I think that one's really cute. I got in a whole bunch of those wreath forms this last week, so I'm anxious to get started on those and bees again. I've got some really cute bee attachments that just came in also. I can't wait to show you guys. They're actually still in the box. All right, any other questions? Okay, I don't see any other questions, and as I said, I still have some Easter ribbon in my shop. I do have some of this ribbon that I showed you the very first in this color, plus some black and white. That's just really nice ribbon. I've got some others I need to get in there. I've got some summer ribbons that I need to get listed too. I think like a watermelon themed. So I'll see if I can't get those listed, and we can get on to doing some more bow making. So again, thank you so much. And I will be live again later in the week, at least Friday. I'm going to try for 10 o'clock again. I'm going to keep on doing that. I don't have any appointments that I know of, that if they don't sneak some in on me, but I'll try to be live at least by 10 o'clock on Friday, if not sooner. And reach out to me if you have any questions that I can help you with. And